The tragic and frankly terrifying collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore has many folks, including myself, asking who is going to bear the cost of all these damages. Those damages would include, of course, the 6 victims who tragically lost their lives while working on that bridge. The 2 victims who survived, they'll have personal injury and wrongful death claims. And of course, the loss of the bridge itself, which the federal government has said it will step in and rebuild, but the cost of that has been estimated at $300 million or so alone. And you also have disruption to businesses that operate within the Port of Baltimore while it is indefinitely closed, and the damage to the ship itself. This incident is set to lead to a multi-billion-dollar string of insurance claims, which will likely take years and years of litigation to resolve. I won't spend a lot of time talking about all the insurance-related issues, but suffice to say that insurance companies are set to take very significant losses on this because of this incident, and there's going to be several layers of insurance and reinsurance that are involved in many subrogation and indemnity claims. But for purposes of this video, the question of who pays for damages will ultimately depend on the cause of the accident. It's also somewhat complicated by the application of admiralty or maritime law. Of course, it's too early to reach any conclusions about the cause of the collision, but a key will be whether it was caused through fault or no fault, essentially, whether it was negligent or by one or more parties, and if so, by whom, or it was simply a mechanical failure and nobody is really at fault, or potentially a mechanical failure where there was inadequate maintenance going on. Various parties could be to blame there. Again, too early to really say and reach definite conclusions. There's been a lot of speculation, but I won't get into that here. Again, just to point out that when you do have an incident like this, where it is clearly a maritime activity that occurs within navigable waters of the United States, admiralty law is going to apply. And that means that the federal courts have exclusive jurisdiction to apply established admiralty rules, as opposed to Maryland state law, for example. But a federal court is going to have to decide under established maritime law, without a jury trial, mind you, these types of incidents that occur on navigable waters and are connected with maritime activity. So among these admiralty rules, one significant aspect is that of what we call pure comparative fault. That means that if multiple parties were to be determined to be at fault, for example, the ship captain, the ship owner, somebody who maintained the ship, so on and so forth, if multiple parties hypothetically were to be determined at fault, they would be, the damages would be allocated among them in proportion to the percentage of fault that each bears. Party A is 20%, party A pays 20%, party B is 40%, party B pays 40%, and so on and so forth. Another second unique aspect of admiralty law, which has been talked a lot about in this instance, is the Limitation of Liability Act of 1851, which was infamously cited by the owners of the Titanic to limit their liability for that tragic accident. And the law says that the owner of a vessel may limit damage claims to the value of the vessel itself plus its cargo, so long as the owner can prove that it lacked knowledge of the problem beforehand. So whatever that problem may be, if the owner was not essentially at fault for causing it, then the owner can limit their liability to, again, the value of the ship plus its cargo, which is very significant in this instance, but still could potentially save the owner and their respective insurance companies a lot of money on these claims. No doubt they'll try to invoke that. So we will stay tuned for the investigation, which even that is said to take 2 years. But again, this will be, it's a tragedy, but it'll be interesting from a legal perspective to follow it through the courts and the litigation that will inevitably ensue.